Welcome back, guys. Welcome to the Insider Outsider podcast, and this is your insiders telling you about what we think about the big market. So, how are you doing today, Ahmed?
I am doing good. How are
Yeah,
you, Rap?
fantastic. You see the headlines. It looks like we're inching closer and closer towards a government final fix, but I'm not exactly too sure if it's gonna. I still think it'll happen by the end of the week. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm looking for upside from here on. I think liquidity is going to be injected into the markets as they promised. The likelihood has been shown on a graph I've seen online. It's 100% likelihood that they'll do quantitative easing,
Hmm.
which is printing money.
Yeah, they were talking about the tariff check, the $2,000 per. I think it was if you make under 100 to 150,000, you get like a $2,000 stimulus check.
Yeah,
But
I heard about
the
it.
the difference with this stimulus check is it's coming from tariff revenues versus regular revenues. The problem is it's a lot of money. Like what? There's over 100 million, probably way more than 100 million that are gonna be needing a stimulus check, right? So I don't know exactly if this is the smartest thing to do or if they're gonna pay down their debt. But it's an interesting idea. We also saw the 50-year amortization talk, and yeah, I'm looking at a lot of reviews online, and none of them are looking too spicy or too good. What do you think about them?
Yeah, it's just it reminds me of when a news headline came out about like Uber Eats or
Hmm.
like the Skip,
Hmm.
and they said that you could pay not upfront, you could pay it in
Installments.
installments. Sounds similar to that, where it's
Uh-huh.
like long period.
Yeah,
It's like
I
people.
like people think it's funny now, but back when credit cards, like back in the day when credit cards were first coming out, and people were making fun of people at McDonald's. They're like, "Oh, who the hell would buy a McDonald's thing on a credit card?" Right? Like you don't have the
I saw
cash.
that ad. Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw
you
that.
don't have the cash to buy McDonald's, right? And so these ads were very prolific around and ideas. But if you just check 50 years later, everybody and their mom is using credit cards, right? You're using credit cards for points, right? So like, although ideas sound very funny in the initial, I'm gonna tell you guys something that has happened. Right, this is real life. Okay, I made a prediction last year before obviously this channel, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this prediction to you, but I made a prediction saying that in less than I think 30 years from now, we're gonna be pretty much countries of renter nations. It's just gonna be a renter nations. It'll be very difficult to ever buy your own property because again,
Yeah.
property land is is limit. There is limits to it. It's not limitless, right? And so the only way that people can consistently keep growing these limits is by offering better and better loan amounts, because the price of assets like this are not going to substantially go down unless people just stop living, people just choose not to buy anymore, or people find another planet to live on, right? Which is a very far, far future indeed. It might be closer,
Like
but
Mars.
yeah, but even in that case, you don't have the amenities of Earth, right? And so like if you look at it, a 50-year mortgage might sound crazy to us, and you pay a lot of interest. People don't understand what truly amortization means. People just think, oh, that's the term that we have, but no, that's the term of the bank. It's if you ever have you ever heard of upfront interest?
It's just the first time I heard this,
Okay,
to be honest
okay.
with you.
So do you know how mortgages work? Kind of.
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay, so
Interest payment
for exactly the
on
viewership, if they're unaware, and I'm gonna try to pull this up as we're watching pretty much, but a lot of people don't realize is when you're getting mortgages, you get interest payments up front. What that means is, let's just say for example, you have a $2,000 payment, probably $1,900 is interest and $100 is equity that you're getting towards your house, and pretty much the way that amortization means is. After a certain period, you're after every month you're going to start to make a little bit more equity in your house. But this also means two things: by year 20 out of a 30-year mortgage, that's when you finally 50-50. That means finally 50% of the payment that you're making is interest, 50% is equity in the house.
that. That is horrendous.
Yes.
Yeah,
So by that point, and then you're able to make. That's why like people don't understand. If you have a $500,000 mortgage, by the end of the term, you're most likely going to have paid around $900,000 in total for that property. It's a tremendous jump. I'll actually show it to you because I'm going to pull it up while you're speaking, and a lot of people don't realize this. And
yeah, yeah.
the biggest issue with this, but again, you have to entice. The reason why it's a thing is you have to entice banks to be wanting to give out loans, because nobody wants to be giving out loans when they're like, hey, I can make 10% of the S&P 500. Why would I give you this loan? But usually this loan's better because it's backed by something, right? They have collateral. They're not waiting on a weighted market, and so
Mm.
yeah. And then, but the big problem is this: if you let's just say, for example, 10 years you've been paying off your property, right? And you put 200, 300 grand worth of money into this property, you might have only made $25,000-$30,000 worth of equity in the property, right? So when you go to sell this house to get a next house, you're going to be making substantially less money because majority of the money you already paid was interest. And then what happens when you buy a new house? A new 30-year mortgage. So for the
It's
last 10
just
years, interest
you know,
barely, yeah, exactly. So that's why it's a continuous cycle. That's why the best way to do it, in my opinion, is if you're going to get a mortgage, get a mortgage. I obviously have mortgages, but get a mortgage, but try to transfer your loan amount, your mortgage loan, to your next property. You can do that. And so that would make it that you don't start from building up zero principal on that property again and again and again.
it's like a magnified effect. You're not playing you're not playing an addition game. You're playing a multiplication game.
Uh-huh.
Not only that, the currency that you're earning is also devaluing. So they understand that they have money preserving techniques. And what the banks do is they either lend out at a certain percentage that's profitable, or they'll put it into government bonds, and they rotate in and out of different, capital to get the best yield. Called hedging against, a hurdle rate of some sort. So they have to compete. They have to make profits, and they have to ensure that they're always cash flow friendly to themselves.
Exactly here. And so I'm just going to share one of my screens just so I'm able to actually show it to you guys. All right. Ahmed, are you able to see the screen?
Let me see here. Yes, I can.
Okay,
30-year
perfect.
mortgage numbers.
Wonderful. So if you take a look at this, right, this mortgage is 250,000. Okay, so this included probably what I'm guessing is they already put that on the down payment. They have $250,000 left. So if you can see properly, sorry, I'm just trying to get this out of the way. Oops, I really messed that
Zoom
up.
in.
Okay, you started at 2023. You're able to see the screen, right?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, you started at 2023. Oops, until 20. Let's take a look at this. These are your total interest being paid, okay? Until 2042, from 2023, almost 20 years, you've only been paying majority interest. This is the month, the year that you finally start paying more principal than the amount of interest you're paying per each 1193 loan that you're paying. And so if you've seen, the interest total from this amount has been 179. Interest has been growing substantially, and the total cost of this over 30 years has been 429,000. So remember, you took out a loan initially for 250,000, but by 30 years you have paid $429,000 for your house.
That's a 2x on the bank's balance, and a horrible return on yours.
Exactly, right. And so if you take a look at this, you're like, oh man, that's crazy. But just remember, it's a lot times it's way more than a 2x. It's usually a 10x. I'll explain. Look at this. If at any moment in time, let's just say by 2030, you wanted to now sell your house. Actually, let's do 2033, okay? So 2033, you've been paying your mortgage for 10 years. 10 years, every single month you've been paying around $1,200. Guess what?
Yeah.
When you go to sell this property, you still have over 200. You paid less than 50 grand in 10 years. But how much was your total? Let's do the math. Let's do the math on there just so we can actually see.
Monthly payments are 1.1.
Yeah, so
monthly
let's just,
payments.
let's just say it's 1,200, okay? So it's 1,200 times 12 months times 10 years. So you've paid. Remember, you've only got $50,000 worth of equity in the property, but you paid $144,000 in total in that 10 years.
That is
Exactly.
that is
And,
something
and
to.
that's why a lot of people get. But so now let's say we stretch this out to a 50-year mortgage. It brings the same problem still occurs actually, but on a way bigger and bigger scale. Because guess what?
How much how much longer do you have to wait? 'Cause
Oh,
we
so
waited.
much. Probably for the first 30 years, you'll be paying, probably for the first 40, for 35 years, you'll be paying majority interest. And so,
When's
uh,
the 50 point? Yeah, right. What is the 50% point? That's what you're suggesting.
yeah, it's far. But you're probably going to be making less than $50 a month. Like when I got my first mortgage on my property. So guys, I bought my first property in 2023. Okay, I took a look at the sheet, and this was a B lender, it wasn't an A lender, because I was only 22. Like, how are you expecting a 22-year-old to get a, like, I didn't have enough credit history, but I was able to secure the property, which was the important part. But man, sorry, just making sure. Oh, sorry, yes. Okay, but yeah, so pretty much I was able to do it, and I looked at the interest because they gave you the amortization rate. Okay, for the 20, I think it was $2,100. I was paying $2,100, 2,200. Let's say $2,300, plus more, and that was including my property tax. So
Is it a
outside,
30-year mortgage that you?
it was a 25-year mortgage. So
25 years.
Yeah, every month I was paying. For every month I was paying $2,300. I was getting roughly $200 worth of equity in my property.
That's painful.
That's
That's
painful.
very.
But every single month I see more. So every month it grows by like 5, $10. 5, 10, $15 that I get extra
What
on my principal every single month. But like I told you, the way
question? A question.
the,
You
yeah,
made it out of this, and obviously, you definitely succeeded within the real estate. Is there a tool? Is there some kind of Fibonacci? So, what do I mean by that? There is Fibonacci represents 1.618. It's like the optimal growth rate.
mhm.
So let's say you're trying to break a piece of glass, you would scream at a perfect frequency. The perfect frequency would shatter the cup, and that's the most efficient
Mm-hmm.
way to kind of jump that hurdle rate. On the chart, that number is what you're looking for. The golden ratio is what you're looking for. What is the golden ratio equivalent within real estate? How do you get the hell out of that? Because that sounds like a really 2,000. How much?
2,300 bucks.
2,000 to equate to $200 of equity.
Yeah, I was spending roughly around $2,000 worth of interest payments in the first year alone, right? Every single month.
Yeah.
So 2,000 was
Yeah.
going to interest. I'm getting 200. So it's not a lot. So the thing is this. I think people need to understand this is a very powerful asset. Real estate is a very powerful asset, right? So you're going to be paying some charge. That I wish I told you that there was a golden rule, like a solution. The best solution I could have is just have good financial habits. Make sure you put 20% down on your first property. Make sure you're properly budgeting. Make sure you're looking at the actual costs. Because the problem is, these assets are not getting cheaper. They're going to get more expensive. So I actually don't think there is any one solution. And one thing I want to relate to the real estate idea that I was saying with you, Ahmed, is
Yeah.
governments are not going to help you with housing. The reason is look at the UK. There is no solution that the
Yeah,
UK has
we've had this
preserved.
conversation.
Yeah.
I absolutely think you should talk in depth on this. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no solution in the UK for housing. Just young people will never be able to afford housing. The US government, the UK governments give so much subsidies and so much relief to help out people. But how much down payment can you put down when something's worth $1.3 million, and that it's like a condo or like a small townhouse? What can you
Yeah.
reasonably do? You can't do a lot. So the real estate thing is just going to get worse, and that's why I truly do think that eventually we'll be at just a renter nation. The dream of buying properties, and I'll add something to that.
I agree.
I'm not too sad about
Okay.
it. In terms of that, oh, like there'll be no reason to be here. I actually think there'll be more of a reason to be here, but the opportunity of, oh, we're gonna buy a house is not gonna be a reality anymore. It'll be, oh, I'm gonna come rent houses over there so that I can develop another skill. I can develop a business, or I can do something on the sideline that is going to help me prolong my life or prolong my family wealth, right? Because there's still many reasons to come to Canada and the USA outside of real estate, right? It's growing, but the idea
I think
of being able to
we
buy
need to
real estate
create
is not going to be a thing anymore.
that's a sad reality. And what I really need to put forth, I think you should consider this too, is there are factors that imply like, what do I mean? What do I mean? Um, Within like the study of people in different classes, right? Rich, poor, and whatever. Right now, the threshold to home ownership, being part of the middle class, basically, is going to disappear. That privilege, but we're going to need to compensate on some other end. The hip joint, like the hip sockets of people that are working longer hours or experience financial stress, they actually deteriorate quicker than people of like richer or you know what I mean. So I
Yeah.
think the average citizen, this is horrible. You know what I mean? I think we're going to need to pivot in so many different directions to compensate the quality of the standard of quality that Canada currently has, because that's going away, right?
Hmm.
If you can't own your house, that's
I
a
don't think there's
vector.
almost any charts on the 50-year amortization just because it's such a new idea that they proposed. There, you can't even
How does
find
that
proper
reflect
charts on.
on Canada? How does that reflect on Canada?
I don't think the Canada thing. I think so Canada, unlike the USA, is a lot harder to get into the real estate game in Canada than it is in the US. The USA,
So
they have a
it's
yeah. So Canada's
is it a
market,
70-year? You know
huh?
what I mean, right? Equivalency. Does it turn into a 70-year mortgage here?
It might,
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
You're gonna
That's horrendous.
eventually you're gonna eventually have two generation mortgages, right? 100 years from now, it's like, oh yeah. So once you're done, you're signing for your unborn kid who's gonna get it. I guarantee you, it's probably gonna be that way eventually. Because what do you do when you have no you supply housing? Housing still goes up, right? Housing actually goes more up the less supply you have of it, and people still want real estate. People are willing to do whatever. So you might even think of it like, I'm just thinking about ideas right off the top of my head. You might be like, you and your best friend get the mortgage together. You guys both live in a house and grow your families, right? Like that might be the reality of what you have to do. Now
So
we're
here's a
still
few,
very far from there because we can,
some advice.
yeah, because
Ralph, I want you to envelop this. I finish your statement, but I feel like I have to ask this question, but
yeah, yeah.
continue. Sorry.
One thing I'll say to everybody is, I would not be the biggest worry is not running out of land. There is much land to be used. So like the problems that I'm stating are very very far away. Okay, but there's two things that you need to know as a citizen, as somebody who's these problems are eventually going to affect, right? If you want to have kids, you want to have grandkids, and you want to make sure that, hey, these guys truly do have a dream that they can live up to, right? That there's two things. First, you need to have the right people in Congress. You need to make sure that the people who are there are allowing buildings to be built, because you need to consistently be growing. You need to have more condensed housing. People don't want to hear it, but that's the rate of the world. When you have so many people coming into your country, the only way for you to possibly house them is increasing the rate of the stuff being built and increase the amount of people that can be in one single property at one time, right? So whether that's doing condensed housing like condos or townhouses, which as you've seen Calgary, all the new builds are what? Just single family detached. Not single family detached, right? It's very rare. And the stuff that's coming to
Northeast
single
has
family
been,
detached is like 900
I've
grand.
seen that a lot.
Exactly. So you're
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
looking for other types of housing for these people. So the main issue is in this moment in time, I do not believe it's a land issue, but it is just allowing buildings to be built. The second thing that people need to understand is the reason why you can't just keep building endless housing and you need to have the right people in charge is because you can build housing all the way to Canada to the USA. You can connect them with housing, but the infrastructure is still not there. Like here's a question I have for you. Let's just say, for example, and this is why I still buy
Austria.
housing. You know for a fact that eventually there's going to be houses till the eyes can see. Even if we do everything wrong, eventually there'll be houses till the eyes can see. But here's a question I have for you, okay? Where do you want to live? People still will want to live in London, even though London will be $10 million for a townhouse. I'm talking about 100, 200, 300 years from now. They're still going to want to live in London. People don't want to
Why?
give, because the beauty of the infrastructure that's already built is what they want. They want access
The
to central.
benefits are higher than the
Think of it like this. Why do people stay in New York City? Why do people stay in
economic.
Vancouver? Who can't
It's just
afford it?
it's an economic hub that you want to be near to benefit
Exactly.
from.
Yeah, you know how many times my friends who have no money, they're like, "Oh, I want to be near the city center. I want to be I want to be in a condo." I'm like, "Yo, you know how bad crime is in the city center?" And they're like, "Yeah," but they're like, "Yo, I can literally walk downstairs and get coffee. I like all the amenities that's right next to me." And so the thing is, people like to stay near. Like same thing with Toronto. Toronto people finally left Toronto, and because job supply is getting very very bad there, right? So until people were forced to leave, they didn't want to leave. But in New York, from London, Vancouver, like these places have so many issues that it's so many issues. Like I'm talking about have you seen the New York condos? You have a one bedroom that classifies as a condo for like $500,000 to $1 million, right? And that's insane. And so
Yeah.
if that's acceptable ways of living there, and people still go there, people still want to live there because they want to be a part of the New York, the fee. That's how they like it, right? And so I don't think not investing in real estate is not the way to go, because I do think that the central hubs are still going to be the central hubs. I don't see them going anywhere. And one other point I'll say to this, just for this position, is the UK has long ago lost its superpower status, long ago lost its reserve status.
But
Why the
still,
hell is London still growing at the rate it's growing?
that's a
Because
great
the
point.
central hub
That's a
never
great
goes
point.
away. Yeah.
It's
Even
not
though
even a
all the
world reserve
finances went to New
currency.
York, yeah, a new place will develop, will become even more expensive, but the last one still stays. People still stay there.
They have somehow a thriving. There's still a good standard of quality of living, right?
I wouldn't to me and you, maybe not, but to them, it's a great standard.
But the thing is, in comparison to the rest of the world, we're still talking about. Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course, right? Compared to anywhere else in the world, you're still talking about the best places to live. But again, it's a choice thing, right? Like Amit, you and me, I would love to live in a single family detached with a beautiful lawn that I can have beautiful barbecues in the backyard with my kids and play soccer with
yeah,
them, right? But some people don't want
yeah.
kids. Some people just want to live in a condo with they have no yard and they just want to have a dog that they take outside to take a shit. Like it's all dependent on what you want for your life, right? But I'll tell you the thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
even like it sounds very bad and sad, but this is why I always tell everybody, it's don't look for a real estate crash, don't look for real estate hikes, right? Like what you want to do
No.
is get your stuff ready. The only thing you can do is worry about what you do. All right, so get your stuff
Yeah.
ready, get everything ready, put a down payment together, right? And again, if you're a married couple, if you
By the way,
exactly, get it, get everything ready, because man, 100 grand is still 100 grand. Even 100 grand maybe not seem like too much money, but it's 100 grand. It's a lot of money, a lot of money. And you could
the question I had earlier,
yeah.
just so we could tie this up neatly. What I mean by is when you're speaking to the average viewer, right?
Uh-huh.
And you're pushing this message of it's going to be very hard for you to have any property ownership in the future. It's going to be rent to own, or this notion is also mentioned by the World Economic Forum. Just a quick recap on what World Economic Forum is. In Germany, Davos, a bunch of billionaires meet and they discuss the future of investment, the future of almost every topic you could think of, innovation, and there's the guy who runs the president of the show. He wrote a book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. It really is in line with what Rav is saying, and this guy is around highly influential people. They collaborate together. So I think your thesis is 100% solid.
Mhm.
I couldn't
You
agree
know,
more.
can I say
And their
one?
slogan?
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'll
go
let you
ahead.
continue. Well, okay. What I was going to tell you was the main thing that I still think people are going to be able to buy property, but I think property ownership is going to change. For example, there's a lot of
Yes.
companies now that offer tokenization of assets. This is the one thing that tokenization makes sense to. Right now,
Oh
for the
yeah,
majority of
you
properties,
talking about this?
yeah, you
Yeah,
only have one person owning the property or a couple people on title. What I think is going to
yeah,
happen is corporation owns the property and you buy into the corporation to bet on real estate. What I think is going to happen is going to be that. If you look at Dubai, for example, like the UAE, there's a company called
yeah.
Stake there. There's a bunch of companies. It offers international investors. I have a bunch of money with them. They actually offered they give a golden visa opportunity, which is something I just wanted to look into just because it was interesting to me. I don't actually want to go live there,
Yeah.
but
He loves Canada,
I,
by the
I
way.
love
He's not
Canada.
leaving.
Yeah, exactly. But the Stake, what they do is it literally, and it's not the gambling platform. That's another one from the USA. It's Stake UAE. You can just look at a
It
Stake Real
sounds
Estate.
like the same name.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but pretty much here. Let me pull it
Sorry.
up for you so the
What is
viewership.
this one? I need to be. Yeah, I need to hear this.
Okay, so pretty much all it does is this. It allows people to buy real estate, so 1,000 people can own one piece of land. And so if you have $5 in this part, you can invest five.
Does it tokenization? Does it
Yes.
leveraging tokenization?
Yeah. Well,
Amazing.
they're leveraging ownership, right? Tokenization, just another word for. One second. Stake. Let's just look at it. Investment. Here, let me see if I can get stake. Is this it?
As you
Yeah.
find the website,
Yeah, I
I'll
found it.
speak a little.
So here, so
There we go. Pull it up to see the
so here,
stream.
let's take a quick look at
I'll let
this.
you know. I'll let you know if I can see this for the viewers.
Are you able to see
Yeah.
it?
Let's see. Watch stream. It's good.
Okay,
Stake.
so this, if you look at how this invests, okay, they offer some people opportunities to own their own real estate if they want to buy it. But look at this, it's funds, it's funds and property. So if you click this, it'll show you. I don't know if it's going to show you any actual funds. Pretty much,
Oh my
if
god.
you want, you can invest $1, 2,000 to $20,000 shares worth of this building. 8 was listed. Okay.
It's fractionalization of real
Exactly.
estate.
So you could buy 50 cents worth of this building. And I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
Regardless, even
Does it
if
apply? Let me see this.
Mhm.
Um,
And look at
my
how much
question is,
registered users they have.
if you
They have
own one
over
percent, right?
yeah,
1% or smaller. There's still a mathematical hurdle rate that you suggested, a 50% threshold where you own half of the debt. Is there debt tied to these tokens? Is there a loan?
no. So what happens
Interesting.
is these funds use everybody's money together to buy the property cash. So look at it like
Yeah,
this.
but then you completely cash.
You completely cash.
Interesting. See, that was my suggestion, my thought process earlier. If under the time constraint
Just look at
of
this. Look
not
at this. This is
a couple
20,000
friends and
shares listed. Yeah, and 90% are sold, which means there's 2,000 shares left of this. So what happens is, like, this actually one of the properties. I own something in Maria as well. I can't pull up my thing on here just because I'm not ready, but I'll show it next time. But
yeah,
here they pretty much, it says 10% is fully bought out, and so it needs to wait till 100. Then they buy the property, and then you start getting cash flow from the rent, equivalent to what you buy. Now, when people say, "What do you do when prices of a single family detached in Canada become $1 million?"
yeah.
This is what's going to happen. I might even be the one to do it. Who knows? I might make a company that allows you to now buy this property alongside 10,000 other people.
You know,
And
I'm with you. I'm with you.
yeah,
I love the value propositions. People that are watching,
and look, they
what
made
about
a 10% average return. So when people say,
you
"Oh, house
guys?
prices are unaffordable," no, it's unaffordable for you. It's not unaffordable for everybody else. People can still do it. People, and if you want to think about this, there's a bunch of apps that you can use to buy art. You can buy art paintings at a fraction, right? Because you buy a
A
portion.
fraction of it, yeah. NFTs did that. I remember, but
Exactly,
you're talking about
and
not
that's
crypto. You're talking about real art,
exactly
like real.
real art. I'm talking about real art,
Both,
and
no, both are real art. Don't get me wrong, but like one of them's a painting that you physically hold, and one is an NFT that
yeah,
you could.
regardless of
What's
however
this?
you want to say
You're
it,
talking.
what this is actual digitization, right? So when you start seeing the MLS listings, Ahmed, your house is somebody's gonna take a bunch of photos of your house, and now 10,000 people are gonna own a partial share of this house, managed by a company, right? That's all that's what Stake does. They manage it, they take management fees, and then you own the property. They actually give you a title deed and everything, so it's fully legit. Here, I'll show one on. Actually, no, it's on my other phone, the one I'm using to record. But I own less than, it's like 0.01%, and I just bought. I literally put $5 in just so I could own a portion of one studio apartment in the Burj Khalifa. So I technically own a little bit of the Burj Khalifa, right? And man, that's just a funny thing. I saw it and I'm like, yo, I gotta invest $5 into the Burj Khalifa. How could I not?
The viewer should absolutely be obsessed with this tokenization. Should be obsessed with the leverages that they're putting forth here,
Uh-huh.
because that you just highlighted the problem earlier in the podcast, and now you're addressing
Mm-hmm.
a kind of a solution of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So if do not stay away from the market, and that's what Rav is saying. Do
Yeah.
not sit there and wait for the market to crash and buy a house. You need to be a participant, or
Yes.
else you
Or you
do
fall
not
behind,
leverage.
right? But you need to be a participant the smart way, right? You need to actually have down payment. You
Exactly,
can't do a five
and
percent and then barely scrape
yes,
by, right? With 3 jobs. It doesn't work that way. You're just gonna be hurting yourself. I would rather invest in the stock market in that case. But just like how stocks allow you to own portion ownership of, sorry, my phone's keep going on. It allows you to own
so
portion ownership of business. It's the same thing.
yeah, yeah.
This is still a renter nation, right? You're still gonna be, somebody has to rent the property, and somebody will rent the property because rent prices are always going to be determined by how much the demand is of the area, right? And real estate price
Yeah.
the same thing. But what happens now when there's only 100 buyers who are able to buy $1 million property versus now there's 10 million buyers who can buy one portion of a small of $1 million property. It doesn't matter how many properties there are; everybody can participate.
That is something
Yeah,
quite that
that's
I
just
that's
again my theory on it, but I
that,
do think we're headed
I
that direction.
find this profound. I find this profound, and I think the viewer should definitely do not undervalue what Rav has just put forth right now. Do
Mine
not.
would.
You need to look into this. Watch the video. Rewatch the segment that he talks about. What what he's telling you is strategize. Do not just jump in with no principle. Because you jump in with no principle, you're gonna pay the repercussions in
Yeah,
the interest on the thing. So you essentially instead of paying, let's say, $100,000 for whatever, or $250,000 for an apartment, you're paying like 750,
uh,
and that reduces to 500,000 if you put more principal down. Correct?
yes.
And so he's highlighting the three vector problem. So there's three components that you need to really understand and get. You have to conceptualize this correctly, or else you're not going to play with strategy. You're going to play with. You're going to end up liquidating yourself, which means you pay, and get no equity.
You see this with
So what
karma, right? You see this with a lot of businesses that are trying to make everything more digital to make it easier, right? Because I'll
the
tell you
term
that the biggest
that I need you
hurdle,
to state.
huh?
I think the term that you need to clarify your strategy, Rav. And Rav is an accredited investor for a reason. It's because he has self liquidating debt. Unpack that.
So I'll tell you my plan on what I'm trying to
You
do.
know what I'm trying to get you to explain, right? The
Yeah, eight
self-liquidating.
plexus.
No, self-liquidating debt.
What do you mean exactly?
Base. I think you understand what self-liquidating debt is. Just that this term you probably haven't
The
heard of
word
it.
I haven't heard. Okay, what is?
Self-liquidating debt is when you essentially get your property to generate cash flow,
Mm-hmm.
and
That pays
it's
off your
in
mortgage.
excess of your payments.
Yeah. So again,
And so
regular real estate, right?
it ends up over a
Yeah.
time scale liquidating the debt itself. It ends up
Exactly.
clearing the debt.
Yeah,
That's all that all
because
that means.
every more, yeah, it's a very nice name to it, so I like the name. I might use it. So, the whole idea.
I didn't make this up, but like yeah.
I've never heard of it, so I actually think you did make it up. Like the name is very good, right? You probably heard of it, but
Actually, I'm the founder of the
are you the
network.
founder? You're the founder, but yeah. So the whole idea is like you mentioned, right? Participation is very good, right? Every mortgage payment you do, although you might only have a little bit of equity in the start of it, helps you build equity into the future of this exact piece of land and what you're going to do with it, right? That what again, the main thing that I'm telling you is I'm not worried that prices are going to go crazy. Like a lot of people say, the prices are unsustainable. Man, the stock market is unattainable. Like everything is unsustainable to a large degree, right? But This is what happens in a debt society. Like people are like, oh yeah, it can't get even more expensive. It gets more expensive. Oh, it has to drop now. It can't keep getting more expensive. Who said? Who said in a debt society this what happens, right? But
So here's my opinion. Within this is a very high stress environment. Rav is showing you his resilience and keeping a cool head, and I think that is part of the success.
yeah,
The keeping the cool head regardless of what the hell's going on in the market. Rav is like, it doesn't matter what's going on. Please, what were you
yeah.
continue on and say that
Yeah,
that
but
was yeah.
it doesn't matter, right? The only thing you can do is you have to understand a few things. Humans are very resilient. They always find more ways. Now, I guarantee you, if 100 people watch this, 50 to 60 people are going to have a problem. They'll be like, "Oh man, this guy's just telling how businesses are
Exactly.
going to make it a home ownership is impossible." To that degree, yes, home ownership for solo ownership may be impossible. It may be impossible in the future, right? But there's always going to be ways that you're able to participate in the economy to grow your own
Question mark.
individual wealth, and you don't need property for that, right? Property really does
Yeah.
help, but like again, a stake type of
What's
thing,
the
like
best asset? Let's go back because this is what you're highlighting right now. What is the best asset to kind of, because there's thresholds and that's what you're highlighting.
the
And
best
you're saying
asset
there's a
is the
tool.
asset you understand, man. I'll say it that way. But because all of these can make you money, right? Like
That's
investing in
profound.
Dubai can make
That's
you a ten
profound.
percent return, which is the same as the S&P 500 here, and it's a lot more sustainable because you know that people are going to be living in the UAE. The UAE invests a lot into infrastructure development. You get a lot of benefits from living there, right? That's why you see so many people love being in the UAE and
People
spending
go
money there.
there all the
Of
time.
course,
Yeah, the
exactly, right?
tax benefits.
Yeah, and during COVID, people were going there, right? Like nothing can really
Yeah,
stop people from wanting to go live there because they don't like their own country, or they like the sun, or they like this, or they like the benefits of being there, right? But
I
man,
don't like the UAE, but there's some benefits to going there.
yeah, definitely, right?
Personally,
Again, it's preference. That's why I stay here in Canada. I can more than happily go to the UAE, but it doesn't work for my long term vision of wanting to help my country. But
this is where I grew up. I
yeah,
love this place. I'm
exactly. A
staying
lot
here,
of people
right?
are going
Yeah.
to have a problem with this because they're going to say big corporations are now buying up buildings so that other people can buy it from the big corporations, right? But the big corporations are there to make money. I think it's just a matter of time till investment properties like this become available in pretty much in the environment that we're currently in. So in Canada, eventually you'll be able
Tokenized.
to buy funds, and now they're getting that. All right, Ahmed, I think we're at 32 minutes. I think I'm gonna have to like go on this episode. I'm also getting some business
Let's
calls,
finish
so I'm
this off. Yeah,
starting to
let's
think
finish
that
this
I
off.
need to do
The
some work.
slogan, just something to think about. Thank you guys for watching. The equivalent of what Rav has just suggested over the 30-minute video is own nothing and be happy, which is not what you want to do. You want to own. You want to listen to the Insider Outsider
Yeah.
podcast and understand all sorts of angles to
Hmm.
strategize on how to get equity
Yeah,
and
just
get
look
out
for
of it.
what we can do, right? I truly do think that people need to
Yes,
understand
yes.
that you're not helpless. That even if you work a minimum wage job, you can literally finance your way up to success. But the thing that we recommend here is we want you to work your ass off so that you can create a better future for yourself and your future family because no one else is going to do it
I
for you.
know. I know we've hit, and I love that last piece that you've added. I know we've hit the 30-minute threshold, but I have to ask you this question.
Ask.
What you see right now is Rav is he went through this tunnel. I'm using this as an analogy, and he seems very level-headed at the very end of the tunnel. But the challenge is it's not a financial aspect. It's in the middle of the tunnel. You can't see the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? You feel like this mortgage is burdening you, and you did you enter a phase of despair
Yes.
in the middle of it? But
In the
right now,
beginning, middle, and at the end. It wasn't until you actually understand why you're doing something. Like there's always fear. Everybody has fear, but you have to take a
yes,
chance because the only first is if you do it when you're young, and the reason why I recommend doing it young, you can afford to fail. You're gonna fail 10 times by the time you're 30, by the time you're 40, and you still have opportunity for you to still reach success. There's been countless stories. But if you never start, if you never do, you know how like if you want to read a book, first you got to learn how to read. So
yeah,
if you want to be a good investor, first you got to learn how to invest. And you know how the best way to learn is just doing it. You don't nobody explains to you what this letter is, and then you never practice reading it. You have to practice reading it. And so if you never go out and do the things like look for properties, try to see what is a good evaluation, try to see how rent flow works, try to see how equity payments work, try to see how
I
all this
wish I
works.
could say this right now. I'm not sure if we should maybe.
I think we'll
Thank
have
you
to
guys
end
for
the
watching.
call.
Subscribe,
Well,
but if you could maybe edit it in or
mhm.
add this to the video. Rab, you bought a property one time, and you told me that it was an instant, like it was the best decision.
Yes.
Where you had, yeah. that I
Yeah,
feel like
I'll
maybe
tell
if
this
you want
last
to add
thing
this.
for the last minute.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Okay.
when I bought my first property, all right, I had instant relief when it got fit when it was a foreclosure, and so the foreclosure I bought it, and in the foreclosure, uh, I didn't get it the first time around because the bank didn't get enough offers or as high as offer that they wanted. I felt relief. I was like, okay, thank God. At least I won't have to do it, right? Like, and like at least I said I was going to do it, but at least I don't have to do it now. And then there's a second bidding, and I won it. So now, as soon as I want it, guess what? I would have told you that. Oh, I didn't want the property. As soon as I got it, fucking amazing! I was so excited, so happy because I finally got the opportunity to do something. And in the middle of it, it was terrible because I had to fix up this property. I had to figure out how to talk to contractors. I had to figure out what pricing was right. I had to figure out where money was going to come from. The first renter was horrible, but man, it was hard. I look back to today with nothing but love and happiness, and I hope the best for all you guys as well. But yeah,
Subscribe
we
to
will
the channel.
speak more onto this. But enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Bye bye.